You ever see blue and red squad car lights painting the side of your old family barn like you've stumbled onto the set of a cop show and somehow you're the season finale? That was me right there on a Tuesday night, kneeling under a work light, calmly tightening a bolt on my brand new, fully permitted grain silo, while two sheriff's deputies crouched behind their doors, bullhorn blaring, and the HOA president just about vibrating with righteousness on my gravel driveway. No, really, this happened. And I wasn't scared, not even close. Mostly I was annoyed. Picture this. There's Lynette Harlow, president of the Maple Ridge Estates, HOA, standing dead center in the headlights. Arms folded, wedge sandals planted right in my great-granddad's tire tracks, looking at me like I'm a public menace. Her little laminated badge is glowing like some kind of cursed trinket, and she's shrilling at the sergeant. He's been warned. He refuses to comply with the architectural committee. This is a violation of our sightline covenants. Meanwhile, the sergeant is just squinting at my faded old farmhouse and the Crow family farm established 1924 sign, probably wondering how the heck he drew this call. He goes, "Ma'am, this is clearly a farm," Lynette snaps back. "Used to be a farm. It's Maple Ridge Estates now. He doesn't get special treatment just because his ancestors were here first." That's when I hit a switch on the porch. Every one of my HD security cameras swiveled and zeroed in on the officers and the crowd of HOA board members crowding the squad car. A little red light blinked on the legal notice taped right to my porch post. Audio and video recording in progress. By entering, you consent. So I wipe my hands on a rag walk right to the property line and call out, "Just loud enough, Sergeant. Before you step onto my land, you might want to read that court order you were served this morning." The sergeant stops, cold pats his chest pocket, Lynette still grinning like she's won. But then he reads the paper twice. Looks up at me at the cameras, then at the line of HOA board members. "Oh, hell," he mutters, "we just walked into a setup." I couldn't help but shrug. Not a setup, a trap. Legal distinction. My lawyer says that matters. Let me back up a sec. 6 months earlier, my life was a heck of a lot quieter. I had 3 things on my vision board: get my 100-year-old family farm back, fix the barn roof, and most important, be left completely blissfully alone. I was 34, patient as stone, wore flannels without irony, and preferred tractors to people. This patch of Crow Farm sits at the very edge of Riverside County, where cornfields have been slowly steamrolled into amenity-rich communities with names like Fox Hollow Reserve or the cottages at Cedar Creek, which for the record don't have any foxes, cottages, or a creek. My grandparents had to sell off most of their land in the 90s for medical bills. It got flipped and chopped and reflipped until a developer built Maple Ridge Estates, 220 houses, ornamental trees, and a 60-page HOA handbook with the soul of a parking ticket. But the original homestead, the farmhouse barn, and 10 acres barely survived. When my uncle's gambling threatened, even that I cashed out everything I had and bought it from him showed up at closing with a cashier's check and an old black and white photo of my great-granddad in front of this same barn. The title company lady smiled and said, "Congratulations, you're now the proud owner of Crow Farm." She hesitated, then said I was technically a non-participating agricultural neighbor to Maple Ridge Estates. Non-participating sounded just perfect to me. Moved in next day. By the end of my first week, Lynette showed up on my porch. Not kidding, blonde bob yoga pants and a binder thick enough to choke a mule. "I'm Lynette Harlow, president of the HOA, and you are a bit of a problem." I told her, "Name's Daniel, I live here." She looked at my work boots like they were something she'd scrape off her sidewalk. "Our community prides itself on visual harmony," she said. "When buyers see your rustic structures, it can impact property values." I looked at my barn, weathered, stubborn, 100 years old. That's a century of harmony right there. She pressed on. "We're willing to be reasonable. You can submit all changes to your property for review. In exchange, we'll let you use community amenities." I said, "Ma'am, I have a field a creek and no one breathing down my neck. I think I'm good on amenities." Her smile got tight. "Sir, you don't seem to understand how this works." "Oh, I do. You're the HOA. I'm the guy who isn't." Her warning look said all I needed to know. Yeah, Karen energy. If you see a little, there's a lot more you're not seeing. First came the letter's courtesy notice that my visible farm equipment disrupted the community aesthetic. Request to stop using heavy machinery after 6 p.m. because residents like to enjoy their decks. A flyer about dumpster etiquette, even though my dumpster was half a mile from their postage stamp lawns, all on HOA letterhead ending with threats. Failure to comply may result in fines and legal action. I stacked those in my kitchen drawer labeled compostable threats. Then came the spying Lynette and her board on the walking trail filming my property like they'd spotted a rare bird. I waved, she ducked behind a maple. Next week, animal control shows up. Someone reported neglected livestock. The officer saw my fat, spoiled chickens stuffing themselves with watermelon and just shook his head. "Everything's fine," he said, muttering, "I hate HOA weekends." Then code enforcement, fire marshal, even a junior county planner who looked 12. Every complaint came from the same address, the HOA office, signed by Lynette. Fine, I thought. You want to play lawyer, let's see how deep you'll dig. So I read my deed, the zoning code, and out of pure spite, the entire Maple Ridge HOA handbook. Buried in some old county law, I found the Agricultural Heritage Preservation Act gave immunity from nuisance claims if you could prove your farm was over a century old and still working. Crow Farm, 1924-2024. Jackpot. I hired Miguel Aoyo, a land use lawyer who sounded way too excited to be fighting an HOA. "You, my friend," he said, "are about to become their worst nightmare, legally untouchable and a little bit petty." We applied for heritage status, dug up old photos, ancient ledgers. Heck, I even found my great-grandma's egg sales from 1937. 3 months later, it was official Crow Farm Heritage agricultural property. The game changed well for me. Lynette, not so much. 1 week after I got my heritage certificate, Lynette escalated from annoying to, let's call it creative. I got a certified letter not from the HOA this time, but from some Architectural Control Committee, Inc., a shell company Lynette filed. They claimed my barn violated some sightline agreement and attached a document supposedly signed by my grandfather 30 years ago. Signature looked nothing like his. The guy's arthritis was famous. I checked at the recorder's office, nothing. Document never recorded. Miguel nearly cackled. They forged an easement. She's trying to manufacture authority over your land. Meanwhile, Lynette was stirring up neighbors. Facebook groups, you name it, telling them I was building an illegal silo running industrial ops and basically a threat to civilization. Then she went big, filed a complaint with the sheriff, attached her forged easement incident report she'd written, and accused me of threatening her with a tool by the walking trail. When 2 deputies showed up, I was ready, every inch of my property line posted with polite but firm signs, "Heritage Property Audio Video Recording." Wore a body cam too. Conversation was boring, and that was exactly the point. Deputies left with a copy of my heritage designation, and Miguel's card politely explained HOA rules stopped at their fence line. But the paper trail was growing. Miguel grinned. "Here's the thing. False police reports, especially with forged documents, are a crime. And she's doing it as HOA president. We can document it, then let Internal Affairs and the State Attorney General do the nailing." So I did everything by the book. Applied for permits for the new silo and barn repairs. County approved, stamped, signed, paid up. Miguel sent copies to the sheriff and county attorney. "If anyone claims illegal structures, they're lying. Please route all HOA complaints here for our ongoing investigation." Then we waited. It took Lynette 11 days. The night of the raid, I saw the glow of HOA-branded flashlights bouncing down my driveway. County cruiser right behind. Lynette marching like she owned the joint folder in hand, barking at the officers. He's doing unauthorized construction. We need to shut this down. The sergeant stepped out. He'd been briefed. He knew the whole story. Evening, ma'am. Evening, Mr. Crow. Lynette thrust her folder. This proves we have authority. He's been aggressive, but the sergeant cuts her off. Before he can finish, Lynette ducks under the tape, yelling, "This area is dangerous. I'm ordering a stop work." The sergeant barks at her to get back. She snaps, "Don't you raise your voice at me. I'm the legal representative here." The younger deputy tugs at the sergeant, points at my porch where a big envelope is taped up, permits in court order, open before entry. Inside copies of my permits, my heritage certificate, a fresh court order. This one signed that morning said law enforcement may not interfere with permitted work on Crow Farm, absent clear evidence of danger, and that all HOA complaints are to be treated as disputed pending investigation. The sergeant turns pale. "Mrs. Harlow, did you read this?" She waves him off. "I'm not here to litigate. You have your paperwork, I have mine." She brandishes her fake easement like it's Excalibur. "This supersedes your farm vanity certificate. Arrest him for ignoring lawful HOA directives." The sergeant, calm as a rock radio's dispatch. Is Internal Affairs and County Attorney monitoring this call? Crackle affirmative. Neighbors and board members all lean in, watching Lynette sink. He says, "Mrs. Harlow, as HOA president, are you asserting you have a legally recorded easement for this property?" She lifts her chin. "Of course." "Are you aware the county recorder says no such easement exists?" Her mouth opens, closes. She mumbles about administrative error, developer promises. The sergeant presses, "You're presenting it as official, knowing it's not recorded, and the signer disputes it." She snaps, "Are you interrogating me?" The county attorney's voice comes over the radio. "Please advise Mrs. Harlow she is dangerously close to admitting to filing a knowingly false instrument and making fraudulent reports to law enforcement." That was it. Board members edged away like Lynette was radioactive. "Mrs. Harlow, you are not under arrest, but this interaction is now part of an ongoing criminal investigation," she gasps. "He's the criminal, ma'am. His rules are backed by state law. Yours are backed by stationery." The fallout hit fast. Within a week, Internal Affairs launched a case. The county attorney referred Lynette's forged easement and false reports to the state attorney general, and the local paper ran a front-page story. Heritage farm owner says HOA tried to annex his land, state investigates forgery claims. Lynette tried to blame the developer, called it an administrative misunderstanding, said she never meant for law enforcement to get involved. But the recordings, in her own words, told a different story. She was charged filing false reports, attempting to file a forged instrument harassment. No dramatic TV handcuffs, but she turned herself in, stood for a mugshot, faced a judge with 3 reporters scribbling notes. Her plea deal, $12,000 fine, 120 hours of community service, and banned from serving on any HOA board for 10 years. Judge looked over his glasses. "No, ma'am, not for protecting property values, for harassment, filing false reports, and wasting law enforcement resources. There's a difference." Lynette went ghost white. "So here's my question for you. Where's the line between defending your neighborhood and becoming a menace in the name of order?" Ever deal with someone like Lynette who just can't help but take it too far? Drop your stories or opinions below. Who do you think was right? Who crossed the line? And if you've tangled with a mini dictator HOA before, let's hear how it turned out. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the story. Share your wildest HOA tales in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more true life neighborhood drama. You know what I mean?